Hello, everybody, and welcome to Problem Solve Her podcast. I'm your co-host, Chloe, along with my girl,
Dagmar.
Daggy's in the house. Chloe's in the house. If it's your first time listening or watching, Problem Solve Her is a play on words because we're problem solvers. Men are too, as 25% of men listen to us because they're smart and they want to know what women are thinking and they want to know how to have better relationships with women, whether it's their significant other, their mother, a sibling. But we want to really create this safe space for everybody to feel like they're at home when they're listening to us. And we have on women and men that are powerhouses that solve problems, that overcome adversity and conflict. And we're creating a new series where we basically will discuss different topics and how we come to resolutions and how we get through things. And you want to stay through the entirety of it because in the middle of this episode, Dagmar and I are going to share a specific story each of how we have overcome something. And Dagmar is going to tell us a little bit more about what we're doing today because I probably already forgot the topic, but I'll remember it when she tells me.
Yeah, today we speak about how to reinvent yourself after job loss. And I think it's a topic, especially now with the AI age we are in, that it really can hit everybody. And I think it's great to hear other stories, what they experienced and how they got over it and where they are now. And we are starting with ourselves. So Chloe, do you want to go ahead and start, or do you want that I start?
Well, you and I have a similar story to that, and I can give this backdrop for people because I think they like to hear more about our lives and how we came to do this podcast, and our experience that we like to share with people because we're very open and we're honest. Dagmar and I happened to meet. Obviously, we can't say any names, but we met together in a prior job. We were working together. We were coworkers, and we had very different positions, obviously because Dagmar is the SEO queen and I am the master negotiator and sales and strategic partnerships. So we had very different jobs. However, we would be in sync on certain projects and I would really lean to Dagmar at certain times and have to use her expertise. And it was a really nice, even flow. And that's how our friendship started. And then what had happened was in a lot of corporations where there is shuffling or there's merging of companies, there's a huge shift. And, the majority of the people are usually let go. And it doesn't matter what your numbers are or what you're bringing in. And I'm just talking in general. In the corporate world, the people that are actually making money salary wise and commissions, those people are the first to go because what they're trying to do is they're trying to conserve whatever's left in their reserve or what they're trying to do for the next round to raise money. So those people happen to be, the ones that are let go more frequently than people that maybe have like a different title aren't as making as much of a salary. And I was let go several months, many before Dagmar. I was one of the first rounds, which is fine. People will look at it and say, well, how's that possible? Her numbers were amazing. She grew all these accounts and I formed some incredible relationships. And I got some really big deals in terms of strategic partnerships. On my side, I look at it like, wow, I really produced, And so what really was the crux of after job loss for me in this situation was that I was not willing to agree to work on a project that I felt in my gut that was not ready to go to market. And I had done this in previous jobs when I ran the nonprofit in New York for many, many years. And I was the one that left because there was something else that had come to my attention that I couldn't put my heart into. If I don't believe in something, then I can't work on it. Other people will because they have, they need a paycheck. We all need to make money. So I was not really willing to work on this project and I was vocal about that. So I think that's the reason why I was part of one of the first rounds because I wasn't going to get behind that project. And was very honest about that. In fact, I know that's the reason because the very next day is when I was let go. But again, this was not because of anything on my end or anything that I had done specifically and personally to be able to let go. When you're let go, it's very different. I want to explain that to people. When you're let go, it's because of, like I said, a company is merging, they're going in a different direction. Getting fired is completely different. That's of something of your own will, or maybe it's not, but the company deems that as you're being fired, or you leave on your own accord and you quit, right? Those are the only three things. So that's my experience. And it's okay because it led Dagmar and I to end up working together on this project and other projects, and we grew closer, and I'm so grateful for it. So the way that I handled it was, well, in the beginning, let's all be honest. When it first happened, you feel very chaotic, you feel insecure, especially when it's during the holidays and it happens, because that's really tough. But I think that it was a release once it had happened, and Dagmar and I worked through it together, and I'm at peace with it, and I have been for a while.
Yeah. I think what's important to say, you're a natural negotiator and you can read people. So your benefit really was the whole time we worked together that you could see in what direction was going. And then when it came to the point where you negotiated, but you knew that wasn't where the company wanted to go. And there's just no better way than the way out. I mean, so from
Yeah.
how it was for me, I worked for that company for 10 years and it became my baby, and the company became my family, which makes you emotionally connected, not just business wise or job wise. And also I always want to give my best. And when I see where something can be done better or doesn't get done, then I will naturally jump in. And instead of treating business as business, I treated it as an emotional connection and family. So I delivered quality and value. But when the structure is not defined by you, but the structure is defined by other people, then it's challenging to be done. So I never was done. Overworked many hours. And I felt like I gave everything, but that's on my part, right? That wasn't like it was asked for. So I was asked for to produce, but I really over produced with the goal that my family would be good, everything would be taken care of, we would succeed. And with every year, I could see and felt more that I was draining and I overgave. And it didn't go in the direction where I saw it should go, but it really got stuck. But I still was holding on to it. And I think that's for a lot of us, if you're emotionally connected, no matter if it's a personal relationship or a business relationship or a job, if you're emotionally connected, it's so difficult to let go, no matter if you should or it's better for you. So it came to the point where there was new leadership, and the new leadership was totally focused on to run everything more economically. And then it came to the point that they found cheaper sources and they decided that they didn't want to move forward with the structure we were in, but create a new structure. And for me now, looking back to that this happened, it was a relief, the same as Chloe, because I felt stuck in a structure which wasn't mine, where I could not create success, but I still was working, overworking, over delivering, unsuccessful. And then after a while, there's just no positive outcome you can create anymore. So now looking back, in the first few months, I for sure missed my family, and I missed this emotional connection I had because I had it for a long time. And I made the mistake that instead of cleaning myself up and moving forward, I really grieved over that. And I really was sad over that. I really suffered through it because I really loved the emotional connection I had with my colleagues. So it took me a few months to realize that this was just a life phase, what was gone. Because, as soon as you are out of the business, the connections are not there anymore because people don't have time. People have other interests. It was mostly job related. So now suddenly you don't have your safety net anymore. You need to create your own safety net emotionally and then job and business wise. And when I look back now, for sure, what I would not do in the future anymore to bring in emotional dependency in a business or in a job situation. Like, I still want to have good relationships and positive relationships, but not that you feel like you need the feedback, or you need to be liked, or you need to be part of something or belonging. And the other thing, what I learned, setting boundaries, right? Because I worked 24/7. Anytime I got a text, anytime I got a phone call, I answered it. And that's not good for your self-care, because then you're never done and it stays in your thoughts. So now I give myself strict office times, and I'm available during the office times. And after that, I make myself not checking my emails or not checking my phone calls, but answer them the next day, because in this way, I teach everybody when they can reach me, when they can not reach me. So the whole experience was really a great one for me, because now I have a much more grounded and a much more clean structure when I work with clients or partnerships or create new business connections.
I'm just processing. You know me, I process pretty fast, but because there's so many things that you said that resonate with me, and and all of a sudden memories are coming in my mind, and I'm having like vivid, visions of certain things. And I think that, well, first of all, everything you said, I think a lot of people can relate to, because if you spend a decade in a job, it is like your family. It's like being in a relationship and you break up with somebody after 10 years, and you have to reinvent yourself regardless, and how you do that and what that structure looks like for you. And I think that it's all in the way in which we handle things, always. I'm the kind of person, as you know, this is the Portuguese, Spanish Jew in me. I pop off right away. You know, my Latina mamas, you know what I'm talking about. I pop off, and I grew up in Jamaica, so I just pop off regardless, right? But I very quickly then reflect and I come to a resolution. I'm not going to sit and harp on things for months and months and go over and over. It's not good for our energy. And as Marcy says, no one has access to my energy. It's not good for your soul. So when these things happen, because it happens to all of us, someone could be in a job for 20 years. I actually know somebody personally who was in a job for over 20 years, specializing in the eyewear business, very big corporation. And they had a merger similar to what you and I went through. And the same exact thing, he was making a very good salary. From the top to the middle, everybody was let go. No warning, nothing. And what happened was they had realized that actually the people that were let go were all over the age of 60. So they put together a class action lawsuit because they felt as if they were targeted because of their age.
Mhm.
And they actually won. It took like, I think, 3 years, but they won the lawsuit. And I remember during the time, the amount of stress and pressure he was under, because he had no severance yet because they were waiting on this lawsuit. and had to go out and get, private healthcare for their insurances and all these different things. And obviously, when it was over, he felt that there was a resolution, and then he reinvented and decided to renovate his house and had done all these things. Everybody goes through something in their life where there's a loss of a job, and some see it coming and others don't. And then there are times where we feel like, and this is, I ran this nonprofit for almost a decade, but I had known the CEO for years. I worked for him in my 20s and then again when I was late 30s. And I was very close with the entire family, and a large Jewish family that's very religious. There's 9 kids. I've been to bar mitzvahs, weddings. I went through everything. Well, I would sleep in the bed with some of his daughters when I was staying at the town. I mean, we were all very close. And like you, I had given my all. I would work on the weekend. When you're religious, the Sabbath, Friday night sundown, Saturday night sundown. So there were things that they weren't allowed to do according to the Talmud and the Torah. You can't drive, you can't operate machinery. So I would have to do certain things for them if there were emergencies, which there had been. And I would give my all, like you, and I was available 24/7. And then I said to myself, I am giving my entire life for this, and I need to nurture myself. During that time, I had started a new relationship, as you know. And in the beginning, it was like this relationship had probably caused, now looking back, some conflict and some things that had happened because I was so dedicated. And I think it is great for people to love their job and to give it everything. But remember, your job is not your life. You have to take care of yourself. You have to soothe your soul. You have to nurture personal relationships, whether it's family or friends. Look after yourself, your children, if you have them, your dogs, your cats. Make sure you're healthy. The health is the number one thing. It comes before everything else. People lose sight of that. You have to take care of your health. That is the number one thing if you want to do anything in life. I don't care if you're a billionaire. If you're not healthy, it doesn't really matter. So that's, I think, the most important thing. And unfortunately, and you know this because you're European, the United States work more than any other culture. We have the least amount of time off. They give you 2 weeks a year and 4 sick days. Okay. And we have like 5 bank holidays a year, maybe 7, and Christmas and, you know, Thanksgiving and Easter. They don't even put the Jewish holidays on the calendar as a day off. So, like Passover, Rosh Hashanah, so to speak. And the point is that the culture in this country is work, 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 work. And then you might be 60 years old and say to yourself, I haven't been on a vacation in 10 years. I haven't done something for myself in 5 years. So reinventing yourself after a loss of a job, I think personally, is an opportunity to dig deep within yourself and to say, what do I want to do? What am I passionate about and what will make me happy?
Just thought about your job is not you.
Exactly.
That's really my key takeaway from really working in corporations my whole life. Because I made it my identity. And in this specific situation, what really was a blessing to me that I had a purpose. I was living my purpose of taking care of animals, loving animals, and caring for animals. And as I lost this job, I for sure had grief over the job loss, but also I did not lose who I was. So in this last job, it did not identify who I was. My job did not become me. My job was my driver, which because I loved doing what I was doing. But it really was a blessing to have this purpose while I was in the job. So my takeaway on that is clearly reinventing yourself after the job loss brings an awesome opportunity to really recognize and evaluate what do you want to do with your life, what's important for you in your life, what's your values, what's your goals, what's your mission, and then integrate that in your lifestyle, which you perhaps did not have before. And if you have it, then it's a great place to be and to feel loved and safe and seen, that the job loss itself is not so devastating for you, like financially clear, but like emotionally or mentally, it makes a huge difference when you come home into a loving environment and not an empty environment because you gave everything at the job and now it's over.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you're saying. And I think that the fear of the unknown is what kind of shields people or prevents them to reinventing to move forward after the job loss, after a crisis, after a breakup, whatever it may be. And everything you said resonates with me. And I think that, and I always say this, and sometimes you agree, sometimes you don't, but if you believe in, no, but if you have a healthy ego, I have a very healthy ego, thank you. If you have a healthy ego and you believe in yourself and you say, I can do anything, no matter what, I know I can do anything. And tell yourself how great you are. There's nothing wrong with that. People should be telling in their minds the other day, you're amazing, you're fabulous. Who cares you have gray hair? Your hair is great. Your skin is amazing. You are so cool. You are the funniest. And I just read from a psychologist said the people that talk out loud to themselves are people that are very consciously aware. I mean, not walking down the street, okay, outside in public or in a restaurant, but in your own thoughts or, in your home, or maybe you're by yourself in a lake, in a park, or whatever it may be. And just always talk to yourself in the sense that you believe that everything is going to work out and things will always go your way. And to just sometimes release it. And like you said, just figure it out what you want to do and love yourself. You have to love yourself through the process. And that's
Yeah.
my takeaway for reinventing after job loss.
Yeah. I love what you just said. So it's really what you said, positive affirmation and then execution, right? So if you believe in yourself and you feel it, you want to show yourself. How does it look? How does believing yourself look? Like a new job, moving to another city, starting a new relationship, doing new things, and also having faith that everything will work out and everything happens for the best for us to grow. Because like you're pretty amazing that I'm a lifelong learner and making the best out of change. I think human nature, we have a hard time of change, and every time when the change comes unexpected, then it's tough for us. And using this opportunity, reinvention after job loss is really evaluating what did you like, what didn't you like, and what do you want better in the future.
Absolutely. I think also as part of this new series of reinventing, I think that our listeners and viewers, hopefully they trust us. I trust us. So I think that giving them some tips also that may be helpful. My 3 tips after job loss would be the first 3 things to do after you have settled down. You have to settle after that. You can't come with a manic brain or out of fear. So once you've released and you have a clear head, the 3 things that I would do, I would focus on if I were you. And I've done this myself. What are you passionate about? What are you passionate about? Write down all your skills. People forget what their skill sets are. Remind yourself what you're good at. And then the third thing is take action. Those are the 3 things that I would suggest and I would advise and give tips after job loss and how to help get that little push over the hill for reinvention.
Yeah, you summarized that beautifully. And I'm very
Thank you.
excited. And everybody who didn't subscribe for us yet, now's the time to subscribe. Because next time we will speak about another life situation where you had to or would you reinvent yourself. So Chloe and I, we're very excited about this series and cannot wait to share the different topics like reinvention after the loss of somebody, reinvention after you move, reinvention after perhaps a burnout. So there are many things we will discuss. So stay tuned, subscribe, and join us in our next Reinvention podcast.
Thank you. We love you. We hear you. We see you. ProblemSolvHer.com. ProblemSolver on IG. The Chutzpah Girl on TikTok. No and solid playing words. Love to all. Ciao for now, everybody.
Ciao. Just a quick note before we end. This conversation is for inspiration and empowerment only. It's not medical, mental health, or legal advice. We are not doctors, therapists, or lawyers. Just women sharing real stories and personal truth. Always seek professional guidance for your unique situation.